visitors this morning, you are invited to stay after virtual worship for our social hour. And if you want to be in touch with us, please send us an email to info@mvuc.org. We are a community dedicated to welcoming the stranger and working for justice wherever the heavy weight of oppression has dug into the fabric of life. To that effort, we counter the doctrine of discovery by naming and honoring the traditional indigenous inhabitants of this land, the Piscataway, the Powhatan, and the Togue. In this time, when we are unable to gather in person, we gather virtually to find comfort and to recommit ourselves to the mission of supporting one another in our spiritual journeys, working for the care of the earth, and building the common good. We gather to recommit ourselves to dismantling systems of oppression and injustice. It is good to be together. This month's theme is life and death, appropriate in this time of global pandemic. Next Sunday, we welcome Reverend Renee Rahutsky with her sermon titled Heart and Hearth. Reverend Rahutsky works for the Unitarian Universalist Association in our Central East region. As we remain restricted to our homes, cut off from visiting family and friends, I want to raise up the importance of staying engaged. This community, through the enthusiasm and creative efforts of volunteers, offers space for you to be a part of this community, even in this limited virtual world. I invite you to take time each week to pay attention to emails from MVUC for messages to feed your spirit and mind. And check out our Sunday bulletin for ways you can feed your heart and soul. As is our custom, we ask that you restrict your chat to designated times, which includes the joys and concerns. There has been a drop-off in sharing about our sorrows and celebrations since we started opening the chat at specific times, but your fellow members do really want to know about you, so please share. We do continue to ask that you turn off your cameras during the service to allow you to move about without distracting others. At the end of the service, after the postlude, we will invite you to turn on your cameras so we can all see each other and give a virtual hug and wave. Please wait until you hear the signal to turn on your camera. Today, we will hear from the team of Sally Hanrahan, Anjum Chowdhury, and Parker Collins. I invite you now to take a deep breath with me as we enter into this time of worship.
Look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. In its brief course lie all the verities and realities of your existence, the bliss of growth, the glory of action, the splendor of beauty. For yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision. But today, well lived, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Look well, therefore, to this day.
Would you turn in your gray hymnals, please, to number 298, Wake Now My Senses, all 5 verses. The verses will be in your hymnal, on your screen, or in your order of service.
Wake now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in all. Keep with the web of creation your vow. Giving, receiving as love shows us how. Wake now my reason reach out to the new. Join with each pilgrim who quests for the true. Honor the beauty and wisdom of time. Suffer thy limit and praise the sublime. Wake now, compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the white sky. Take as your neighbor both stranger and friend, praying and striving their hardship to end. Wake now, my conscience, with justice thy guide. Join with all people whose rights are denied. Take not for granted a privileged place. God's love embraces the whole human race. Wake now, my vision of ministry clear. Brighten my pathway with radiance here. Mingle my calling with all who will share. Work toward a planet transformed by our care.
I invite you now, from wherever you may be, to bring your voices out in reciting our covenant as the words are found on your screen. Love is the teaching of this church. The quest of truth is its daily task, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve life in community, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. This is our covenant with each and with all.
Hello, friends. Today we're talking about time. And sometimes we have a bad day. We don't like it. But we do remember that tomorrow is another day. So I hope that you remember during the story that tomorrow is another day.
Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. Written by Judith, voiced, illustrated by Ray Cruz. I went to sleep with gum in my mouth, and now there's gum in my hair. When I got out of bed this morning, I tripped on the skateboard, and by mistake, I dropped my sweater in the sink while the water was running, and I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. At breakfast, Anthony found a Corvette Stingray car kit in his breakfast cereal box, and Nick found a junior undercover agent code ring in his breakfast cereal box. But in my breakfast cereal box, all I found was breakfast cereal. I think I'll move to Australia. In the carpool, Miss Gibson let Becky have a seat by the window. Audrey and Elliot got seats by the window too. I said I was being scrunched. I said I was being smushed. I said if I don't get a seat by the window, I'm going to be car sick. No one even answered. I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. At school, Miss Dickens liked Paul's picture of the sailboat better than my picture of the invisible castle. At singing time, she said I sang too loud. At counting time, she said I left out 16. Who needs 16? I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. I could tell because Paul said I wasn't his best friend anymore. He said that Philip Parker was his best friend and that Albert Moyo was his next best friend and that I was only his third best friend. I hope you sit on a tack, I said to Paul. I hope the next time you get a double-decker strawberry ice cream cone, the ice cream part falls off the cone part and lands in Australia. There were 2 cupcakes in Philip Parker's lunch bag, and Albert got a Hershey bar with almonds, and Paul's mother gave him a piece of jelly roll that had little coconut sprinkles on the top. Guess whose mother forgot to put in dessert? It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. That's what it was. Because after school, my mom took us all to the dentist, and Dr. Fields found a cavity just in me. Come back next week and I'll fix it, said Dr. Fields. Next week, I said, I'm going to Australia. On the way downstairs, the elevator door closed on my foot, and while we were waiting for my mom to get the car, Anthony made me fall where it was muddy, and then I started crying because of the mud. Nick said I was a crybaby, and while I was punching Nick for saying crybaby, my mom came back with the car and scolded me for being muddy and fighting. I'm having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day, I told everybody. No one even answered. So then we went to the shoe store to buy some sneakers. Anthony chose white ones with blue stripes. Nick chose red ones with white stripes. I chose blue ones with red stripes. But then the shoe man said, "We're all sold out." They made me buy plain old white ones, but they can't make me wear them. When we picked up my dad at his office, he said I couldn't play with his copying machine, but I forgot. He also said to watch out for the books on his desk, and I was careful as could be except for my elbow. He also said don't fool around with his phone, but I think I called Australia. My dad said please don't pick him up anymore. It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. There were lima beans for dinner, and I hate limas. There was kissing on TV, and I hate kissing. My bath was too hot. I got soap in my eyes. My marble went down the drain, and I had to wear my railroad train pajamas. I hate my railroad train pajamas. When I went to bed, Nick took back the pillow he said I could keep, and the Mickey Mouse nightlight burned out, and I bit my tongue. The cat wants to sleep with Anthony, not me. It has been a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. My mom says some days are like that. Even in Australia.
Good morning. We are Al and Birgit Robert, members of Mount Vernon Unitarian Church since 2003. When we're asked to say something about what motivates us to commit our time, talent, and treasure to the church, we both said, because we just want it to be there. We joined our first UU congregation in 1975 in San Antonio, Texas, shortly after our young daughter asked us when she saw her neighborhood friends go to church or synagogue, "Where do we go?" Soon after, we drove across town to the only UU church in San Antonio. At that first service we attended, we knew we were in the right place, a place for our own spiritual growth and our children's religious education. We joined the church and made a pledge on that very first Sunday. As a military family, our periodic relocations since then led us to always seek out a Unitarian Universalist congregation. When we first came to the DC area, we were part of a group forming a new congregation, Acatink Unitarian Universalist Church in the Burke-Springfield area. During our military years, we were always grateful that Unitarian Universalist congregations were there for us, either to welcome us as newcomers or to welcome us back home.
Many of you know that Birgit has served as our volunteer bookkeeper, typically a paid position in a congregation of our size, since 2010. I have also been involved in the stewardship and financial affairs of the church during much of my time as a member here, including time as chair of either the stewardship committee or the finance committee. As we enter our stewardship season, this part of the year when we ask members to consider and renew their commitments of time, talent, and treasure, we've been asked to talk about what has motivated us to support the church in the roles we've played. On the subject of time, talent, and treasure, Birgit and I have our unique take. We have committed our time and our talent to take good care of the church's treasure. We have, of course, like most of us, committed a fair share of our treasure as well.
So we hope that you all agree with us that it's important that UU churches be there, not only for ourselves, but for others who are seeking a church home. Al and I are all in, sharing our time, talent, and our treasure to make sure that Mount Vernon Unitarian Church continues to be there for us and for others.
Mount Vernon Unitarian Church continues to share the plate with committed organizations that our members have chosen. For the month of February, we share our generosity with No Child Goes Hungry. No Child Goes Hungry is dedicated to the elimination of childhood hunger, one kid, one meal at a time. With funds donated by churches, private organizations, and individuals, they work with faith communities and other organizations to alleviate hunger on a local level. They provide grant money as well as mentorship opportunities so that community organizations can build hunger advocacy programs that will thrive and grow as their communities continue to tackle the problem of local food insecurity. We split our offering 50-50 between No Child Goes Hungry and MVUC, unless otherwise directed by you. You are welcome to write a check and mail it to MVUC. You can also make payments via text or via credit card. Information is found on the slide and the chat box. During this time of music, we invite you to tenderly name in the chat box or in your heart the joys and sorrows that you hold within your heart.
Being Present by Elena Westbrook. Let every moment be a prayer. With every sip of tea, let your lips move in thanksgiving. Be fully present to every stroke of the hairbrush, every cup of milk you pour for the children. Be present without judgment or regret, without plans or expectations, or even dreams. And every moment becomes a prayer.
Minutes, 525,000 moments so dear, 525,600 minutes. How do you measure a year? In daylights, in sunsets, in midnights, in cups of coffee, in inches, in miles, in laughter, in strife, in 525,600 minutes. How do you measure a year in the life? How about love? How about seasons of love, seasons of love. 525,600 minutes, 525,000 journeys to land, 525,600 minutes. Do you measure the life of a woman or a man? In truth that she learned, or in times in pride, in bridges he burned, for the pain that she died. It's time now to sing out, for the story never ends. Let's celebrate, remember a year in the life of friends. Remember the love, remember the love, remember the seasons of love, seasons of love.
Excerpt from Wild Pear Tree by Kaveh Akbar. It's been January for months in both directions. Frost over grass like pale fungus, like moth dust. The branches of the pear tree are pickling in ice, white as the long white line running from me to the smooth whales frozen in chunks of ocean, from their vast bobbing to the black-white stars flowering into heaven. The hungry cat gnaws on a sliver of mirror, and I have been chewing out my stitches, wondering which warm names we should try singing. Wild thyme, cowslip, blacksnake. All the days in a year line up at the door, and I deflect each saying, "No, you will not be needed." One by one, they skulk off into the cold.
It's a constant cycle of breaking and healing, hurting and feeling, fixing and mending. This journey is never ending. From Ruby Doll. Hi, my name is Parker Collins, and I've been attending MVUC for almost 15 years. I have a very complicated relationship with time. As we approach almost a full year of our new normal, it's hitting me. I have lost all concept of time. Days feel like weeks, months feel like years, but at the same time, it feels like just yesterday we thought we would be working from home for 2 weeks. So I ask, have I ever been good with time? Yes, I'm a timely person. I set timers for naps, count down the minutes until This Is Us on Tuesdays. But has time always passed this fast? Looking back, I can't remember a time where I wanted time to slow down. When I was in grade school, I couldn't wait to be in high school. When I was in high school, I couldn't wait for college and a world full of independence. Whether it was a spring break or the opportunities of a new phase of life, I was always looking forward to the next thing. It was a helpful coping mechanism for when we're unhappy with your current circumstances. Next month will be better. Next year will be different. For a couple of years, I was going back to school online and working full time. I would tell myself that when I graduated in May of 2020, life would be better. And I think we all know how that went. But here I was, excited to finally have time back on my side. 2 months into the pandemic, and I was starting to feel like everyone else. I could be bored. I could afford to pick up some new hobbies. It was a weird sense of relief as my friends lost their jobs, their grandparents fell ill, and my industry was crumbling around me. As we try to seek the positive outcomes of this rough year, we find ourselves feeling guilty when we find the joy in this rough patch. So we soldier on, keep our heads down, and pray for the end of this new reality. It's just like the other rough patches of life. Push through. Zone in on that finish line, numb what you can until you're at the end. We clock in, we clock out, another day, another week, life passes us by. We know there's an end in sight, but that visual of the finish line is disappearing for me, and I'm afraid if I don't imagine that finish line, the fear will catch up. Every Sunday night, I'm upset my weekend flew by, and it's back to work tomorrow. Should I slow down? Take in these moments. What moments should I be cherishing? When life returns to normal, will I regret not treasuring this time of solitude? Who do we turn to when life feels like it's passing by too fast? Our family? Our community? The therapists? The answer is all of the above. We have probably heard of the same tips: meditation, gratitude, exercise, mindfulness, guided breathing, journaling. It's a long to-do list that I've already incorporated into my daily schedule, but here I am finding myself journaling, I guess, another day. I wish I had added these activities to my routine in a spur of self-reflection or striving to be the best version of myself, but the truth is it stems from fear. Fear I'll fall back into a deep depression that altered my outlook on life. A time where the relief of death outweighed the joys of life. I'm filling my days with self-care activities out of fear. While this isn't the worst response to inner fear, one could argue your intentions are just as important as your actions. So what's my solution? Do I slowly rewire my brain to not live in fear? What's our answer to living in this Groundhog Day, Palm Springs nightmare? Where is the fine line of daily routines and feeling like you're living the same day over and over again? Is it all that bad if this terrible year is moving by too fast? I wish I had the answers. This is where I cop out and say that this is the best my freshly developed 25-year-old brain can do. Although I may not have found all the answers, I do know that I want time to slow down. I want to remember my long walks, my midday dance breaks, and roommate Wii game nights, but not slow enough to remember the election, pandemic first dates, or Zoom calls that could have been emails. Whether you need time to speed up or slow down, I wish you the best of luck on your new relationship with time. Thank you.
Hi friends! For those of you who don't know me, my name is Anjum Chaudhary, better known around here as Leah's daughter. And I want to start today with the first line from that Kaveh Akbar poem read beautifully by Steve Bogart. It's been January for months in both directions. That line feels fitting in January when winter seems endless, but it's almost more appropriate during these last 11 months of stasis. It's been March for months in both directions. As some of you know, I live in New York City right now, an area that just a year ago was about to become the epicenter of the COVID outbreak in the United States. Now, I live in Midtown Manhattan, an area known for its noise, foot traffic, actual traffic. But in just a few days last March, suddenly there were no cars, no people, nothing. We've all become accustomed to the idea of death being everywhere. It still feels like something that you're chancing every time you dare leave the house. Yet, honestly, for me, death doesn't really feel close, even here. Part of it is being young and feeling invincible, but most of it is just because, save for groceries, I don't really ever leave the house. And in here, death seems nowhere around. The thing is, neither is life. Suddenly last March, my job was gone, my social life exclusively online, and my plans were all put on pause. You know, the notes for today's service said that today is Valentine's Day and tomorrow is President's Day. And I thought, what am I supposed to say about that? The Akbar poem goes on to say, all the days in a year line up at the door, and I deflect each, saying, no, you will not be needed. People have made jokes that whatever birthday passed in 2020 didn't really happen, and they're getting a do-over this year. But nope. As I sang in Seasons of Love earlier, time just keeps on trekking. Today really is Valentine's Day, and I have no gal pals to meet up and be sad and lonely with. I just have to celebrate a different way this year, like we have with everything. I mentioned earlier how most of our relationships are happening online right now. Yeah, I meant that in spades. Hank Green, an internet personality, talks about how the internet should really be seen as a place that we inhabit and different platforms as countries that we live in. Well, I have been staying in Facebook, Snapchat, and Zoom to talk with old friends, and I've been gaining citizenship for Tumblr, Discord, and surprisingly, not TikTok when making new ones. Yeah, you heard that right. I have been making friends during this pandemic, and actually a lot of them. Certain sites have come to feel more like my neighborhood than Midtown, both pre-COVID and now, which you can't even begrudge me for because everyone knows that New Yorkers don't actually know their neighbors. And just like we have different personalities in the different spaces that we inhabit in real life, be it church or work or with friends or at home, I've been noticing a lot about how I act online. In real life, I'd probably say that I'm the sardonic friend. I make jokes, sometimes scathing ones, and all my friends know that they can come to me for a realistic opinion. I've always liked being that person. I like being smart and witty and confident, but this is mostly with people who have known me for 6 years at least, and they let me get away with being a bit of a jerk. With them, I'm always carrying kernels of who I was when I was 18 or however old I was when I met them. But on the internet, these are all people that I'm meeting at this particular point in my life. And this shiny internet version of myself is nice. Not sanitized, but an extremely positive, supportive friend who people go to when someone in the group needs to be lifted up. And while I don't think that that's totally missing from who I am in real life, I still think that it would surprise some people to see me acting like that. And that's a long way of getting to my point. This stasis, this purgatory, this static period that we've all been stuck in for nearly a year, it hasn't been life on loop at all. I know that's obvious to those of you who are raising younger children and those whose lives haven't been put on hold like mine, but that doesn't mean that there isn't something universal about this. We've all been changed by this period. For you, maybe there's been something that you were forced to do or learn or become during this period that would be nice or useful to take with you whenever we're allowed out of it. For me, I've really come to like this person who I am online. Now, don't get me wrong, I like the person who I am usually, but there's a lot that I'm trying to gain right now from taking some of that kind personality that's been so easy for me to cultivate through a few extra exclamation points and grinning emojis, and imprinting that on my physical body as well. I'd also like to keep some of the new friends that I've made, and even some of my internet habits. Not all of them, definitely not all of them, but some of them. I can't tell you truthfully that I've been especially happy in this past year. It's been really hard, but there's still a lot that I'm happy about. And those are the things that I hope to carry with me for a long time to come. Thank you.
The Seasons of Life by Mary Frances Comer. We are grateful to mark time with seasons, to celebrate birthdays and anniversaries, or to gather as family to remember our loved ones. In all these seasons, may we give thanks for the breath of life, ever mindful of the fragile nature of existence. May we live fully in each moment. From summer to fall and winter to spring, we gather in mystery and in the bonds of beloved community. May we radiate love both within and beyond these walls, this day and all the days to come, caring for those we love and for those we have yet to meet.
Our seasons of life, they're important. We mark time. But how, especially in a time of crisis? How do we mark birthdays, anniversaries, memorials, and weddings, when normally we would come together to celebrate or mourn, be that as it may? How do we do this in this current time? Well, we are in an unprecedented time in that we have technology that allows us to reach other people in ways that people in the past during pandemics did not have. We are fortunate in this way. We can video chat, we can use social media, we can even do the old-fashioned phone call. However, technology can be a double-edged sword. In addition to being a means of marking time and special events, it can also become a means to an end to escape, to withdraw, and hide from this seemingly endless day. Endless scrolling and viewing on platforms can remove us from real life to the extent where we miss out on our real life, no matter how unusual or unforeseen or painful even that life may be. So what? What do we do? I believe we need to find a balance. We need to value and utilize the technological tools that we have that bring us together, just like today, and yet also need to acknowledge the danger of hiding behind a screen and not being fully present in our moments. My suggestion is that we find physical ways to ground ourselves in marking the passage of time. For example, bake special pink cupcakes for Valentine's Day. Do a family history project for President's Day. Build a snowman or Iceman in this season of winter. Break the loop by finding joy where we can, both on screen and off.
Would you turn in your gray hymnals, please, to number 108, My Life Flows On in Endless Song. Words are also available on your screen.
My life flows on in endless song, a lover's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds and echoes in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me roars? I know the truth, it liveth. What though the darkness round me close? Songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? To prison cell and dungeon vile, our thoughts to them are winging. When friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing?
Will you join me as we unite our voices to recite the words to extinguish our chalice, words known within our hearts and can be found displayed upon your screen? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
This is a quote from the TV show The Good Place. Picture a wave in the ocean. You can see it, measure it, its height, the way the sunlight refracts when it passes through. And it's there. You can see it. You know what it is. It's a wave. And then it crashes on the shore and it's gone. But the water is still there. The wave was just a different way for the water to be for a little while. That's one conception of death for a Buddhist. The wave returns to the ocean, where it came from, and where it's supposed to be.
Hi.
Everyone,
Hi.
welcome.
Hello.
Hello, thank you for the slides, Marty, and thank you for hosting Linda Walton.
Absolutely. Welcome, everybody.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Nice
What an
to see
appropriate.
you. Hi, Nancy.
Service.
What a great service. Gosh, I'm so glad we.
Great service.
We hope
Nice to see these young women.
Wait a minute.
they're awesome. Are they on? Does any one of them want to show and say hi?
I'll record it because
There's
it's
Sally. I see Sally.
Anjum's not there.
traveling around and
Anjum had to go to her church.
Anjum had to go to her church. Oh,
Yeah.
Sally.
There's
Sally.
Sally.
Good job. Great
Hey,
job.
good morning. Thank you so much. It was actually along the lines that many of us are thinking and feeling.
Right.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Jill, you need to take